Okay, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. With me tonight is one of the regular fixtures of the podcast, Jeffrey.
Hey, everybody.
So tonight I'm going to be running tonight we normally play Shadow the Demon Lord, but we're missing one of our players for that, so we're going to do a one-shot that is a bit of a surprise for Jeff, and hopefully a little bit of a treat for him as well. The other thing, I wanted to talk to you about too, Jeff. We were talking about before we went live too. So on Saturday, I'm playing in that Shadow the Demon Lord game with it's run by a guy named Jared Rashner, who's a friend I met on Google Plus. This last session was our 9th level adventure, and I got to fight a lich. Yeah. And it was the scariest fucking encounter we've had to date. Like, I was basically dead 4 times in the course of the fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, I can't say it was a lot of fun to play through at the time. Because at least during the ass kicking I was getting, but in retrospect, it made for like exactly the threat. I was the resident meat shield, so I was the one who was supposed to be going down. Nobody else went down. So I guess I was doing my job. Our healer was doing her job because it was keeping me, upright for most of it, but holy shit, was it a hard encounter?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. It's been interesting playing Shadow because seeing it from just the GM side of the screen, you don't appreciate how much risk the characters are in and how fast you're like, holy shit, I just lost like a third of my hit points to one hit.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's cool because when you've got a healer, it's a manageable level of threat because you've got someone who's bolstering you back up again. But man, like if monsters chain together, like this one, the Lich monster comes with preset spells, like the spells that they've got, and the set of spells were used very effectively by the DM. But fuck me, like basically the first couple of what you do for epic monsters in Shadow the Demon Lord. You guys aren't high enough level yet, but you get to roll at the end of the turn. You roll 1d3 plus 1, and that's how many actions it gets to take next round.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's playing on the 5th edition idea that like there's I don't know if you've picked up or looked through the monster manual, but there's some monsters that have what were called legendary actions that are like they're key to happen at the end of a player's turn. So like monster will go, but then it will also be present throughout the round through these legendary actions. But because of the way that's designed, it only triggers on players' actions. So if you have the encounter with 2 players, or 2 are dead and 2 are still standing, it only gets 2 legendary actions. So it sort of scales to the number of people who are still upright. That is not the case in Shadow of the Demon Lord. It gets 4, regardless of how many people are like 2 to 4 actions, regardless of how many people are upright. So the DM kept rolling 4 actions for it, and like fuck, this thing chained like a damage buffing spell. This big glyph on the ground. It has an aura that fucks you up. It causes fear, and we all fucked up our fear roll, so a bunch of us were suffering banes from that. It then created an AoE. So we were taking, like everyone was taking, and the duration of it was 1 minute. So everyone was taking damage at the end of each round for the sake of, for the whole thing, which was being boosted by that fucking glyph. And then he was also doing shit to drain life. So it was just like fucking healing monsters. I can swear to you now, I'll never use a healing monster against you in Shadow of the Demon Lord because they're fucking awful. It's just a word, yeah. In 4th edition, they talked a lot about why there weren't healing monsters in that because they're like, look, it's just not fun. It's not fair. It's not fun. It's frustrating more than anything. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think there's ways to make those encounters fun, but like, oh boy, this for like what's I guess supposed to be the pinnacle of undead threat. It absolutely felt that way. And I think, to be honest, the DM was just being a little nice to us that we actually lived through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, crazy. Anyway, okay, so tonight What we're gonna do is we're gonna you're gonna need some your dice, your physical dice, because in order to preserve the secret, I'm gonna ask you to roll some shit. Do you have physical dice with you?
Yeah, just a second.
Oh, sure.
I'll go get them.
Okay, I'm gonna grab something as well too. I'll be right back. I'll let Emmy keep you company in the interim. Hey, sweetie. Hi, sweetie.
I don't know where I took them.
I'm bringing my my dice that I picked up in Winnipeg on my trip. Oh, I got some cool slate gray ones here. You know, I started doing a couple of years ago, actually a few years ago now, when I would be out of town for work or something like that, or if I was traveling, I would pick up a set of dice that would from wherever I was, you know, there's a game store I was able to go to, pick a set of dice from there just to remember it by.
Yep.
And I really had wished I had started that a lot fucking earlier, because that would have been a really clever way to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The thing you realize is that when you keep seeing the same dice at every store, you realize that like Chessex and whatever the manufacturers are, they only really make a finite number of dice, and they all start looking the same. I also want to get like I've got those like toxic yellow and green dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so our scene opens with you coughing. Something is poking you, and you hear you're lying. You realize you're lying face down, and something is poking you in like the top of your head, like a small twig, and then you hear a voice saying, Mister, you dead?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, move. Something's caught in your throat. So you cough and you kind of get up, and you realize there's a bunch of water that's somehow backed up into your, like you swallow something the wrong way. You don't feel good at all. You feel, in fact, quite awful. But you look around, you look down, and what you see is you're sort of sitting in a bit of it's drying, but it's a puddle of water and kelp, and little bits of broken, like purplish coral that are sitting in the ground. And the ground itself, though, is a stark contrast to that. It is a like orangey tan soil mixed with a bunch of like rocks and stuff like that. And you sort of look up, and there's this real kind of scruffy looking, dirty human kid in overalls, light skin, sandy kind of blonde hair. It's all, sort of like, wind blown and tousled and whatever, but still sort of, somewhat managed by no doubt a doting parent. He has ratty old shoes on, and he seems to be the source of your discomfort, who's been poking at you in the head. He says, "Oh, Lord, you're ugly, sir. You may not be dead, but you sure ugly."
Well, you're one to talk, kid.
He says, hey, you ain't supposed to talk to kids that way. What you doing out here? And you look around, and you're in what appears to be kind of like a box canyon, or at least like a canyon kind of thing. There's tall brownish orange cliff sides that are sort of up on either side of the of this valley. The valley itself is probably about maybe 150 feet wide, maybe a little 150 yards wide. There's scrub, desert foliage that's around. There's loose rocks and stuff around, and there's a very, very rough approximation of a trail that seems to ride through. And you're sort of near this. You're looking around, you look up, and while the bottom of you realize that it's sort of the wet that you were feeling is really just underneath your surface, underneath where you were. And you look back, and you're looking around, and it's the sun is beating down. You can't tell where the hell the sun's coming from, so you can't tell if it's late in the day or early in the day. But the ambient temperature makes you hope that it's late in the day, because if it's going to get hotter than this, it's going to be a fucking long day. You lean back, and you're you don't know how the hell you got here. You still have your boots, you still have your pants. Sitting at your side, you can see the big old battle cannon that you have. You've grown accustomed to wielding all the time. And this kid says, "Hey, so what's your name, sir?"
My name is Gorgosh. What's your name?
What? What's your name? Is that a foreign? Gordon Gosh.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Gosh, you want to see a dead body?
Sure, kid.
Okay, so yes, tonight, Jeff, you will be revisiting our resident Trollkin Pugilist and Investigator, Gorgosh Thunderfist. Now,
Nice.
the last let's log into. Let me actually just quickly log into Roll20. Tonight, for those listening at home, we are going to be playing the Cypher System again. About a year ago, we played the first part of a session where I had a bunch of my players present and past get together and play their favorite characters. I translated the favorite characters into the Cypher System, and then sort of used the setting of the Strange as a framing device for bringing them all together and then setting off on their quest. Now let me see here. Not sure what background.
So, I should log into Dreams of Past and Present?
Yes, please. Yeah. And I think that there is everything on Gorgosh's sheet.
Wait.
Oh yeah, we gotta mute here. And then let me oh, there we go. And I'll share screens here so the folks can see us in Roll20. Where am I here? Boom. All right. Okay, so just a quick reminder, Jeff, for Cypher System, the basic mechanic is that I'm going to set a difficulty for you of something, and then basically that times 3 is what you need to roll on a d20. So if I say difficulty 3, that means you need to roll a 9 or higher. If I say difficulty 6, you need to roll an 18 or higher. You can modify that. If you are T trained in a skill, that will reduce that difficulty by 1 before I do the multipliers. If you're specialized S in a skill, that will reduce it by 2. If you have an asset, that can reduce it by another 1. And then you can spend points from the relevant pool, from your might pool, your speed pool, or your intellect pool to reduce that. You also have what's called edge in each of those pools. And what that does is that reduces basically whatever points you're spending from that pool for that round, you can reduce the cost by that amount. So effectively, you get like once per round, you could do a free raise with your might.
Of 3.
Yes, because your might is 3. It costs you 3 points to reduce the target number by 1. So like if I set a might challenge, let's say of 6, that's an 18 or higher to roll. You're obviously you don't really want to roll against that. So what you can do is I want to check one thing here. I want to make sure I'm doing effort right. I think effort sets the levels of like basically it sets how much you could blow in one task. Okay, so the first one costs 3. Each one after that costs 2. So, and you have a maximum because you're tier 3. Your effort is 3. You could reduce it by 3 levels, and 3 levels would cost you 7. Just 3 for the first, 2 for the next, 2 for the next.
Right.
So let's say you wanted to again that there's a difficulty 6 challenge to a might challenge. You're going to lift a massive boulder. You don't have any skills that apply. It seems like I haven't looked at your talents, so but I'm assuming there's nothing in there. What you could do is you could spend 7 points, which would be reduced by your might edge down to 4, to reduce that 6 down to a 3, which means you'd roll a 9 or higher.
Right. Basically cutting in half.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the pools there, might, speed, and intellect, those count as both your like kind of a hit points, and they're also your resources. So you can spend them to do the things that we said. But it's also when you take damage to one of those areas. Normally, like a physical attacks will do damage to might. When your might is a 0, it'll then pass on to speed, and then once that's gone, it goes on to intellect. If you lose once each of those hits 0, there's a different sort of penalty that hits or that triggers. But you can see that you got your recovery rolls as well. The first one will cost you 1 action to do. Second one, or sorry, yeah, after 1 action you can do it. Second one takes you 10 minutes. It said, and then the next one's 1 hour, and the next one's 10 hours.
Right.
And then, oh yeah, I remember what it is here now. Okay, so each of those, each time one of your pools hits 0, you go from hail to impaired to debilitated to dead. You see that on your damage track?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what else? I think that's it for the basics of this. You are going to be rolling almost all the dice tonight too, if not all the dice, because I don't. This system, I don't roll dice.
Right. Okay.
Which is cool. What else? What else? What else? If you roll a 1, let me know, because a 1 is it allows me to do what's called an intrusion. Intrusion is something that DMs get to do where I can inflict bad shit on you. So I can have like bad turns of luck or whatever else. If we were playing with more than one person, I can inflict that on you. And then you also get 2 XP for it. And then what you would do is you would take 1 of those XP and pass it off to somebody else.
Okay.
We don't really need to worry about that tonight. I'm not going to worry about the XP stuff. Although I see you've got 4 XP already. And what you can do with XP as well is when I'm trying to inflict, if you roll a 1, I get to give you that intrusion regardless. Like you don't get to buy that off. If, however, you roll, I think it's a 17, 18, 19, 20, then something progressively awesome happens. In combat, it means you do more damage and stuff like that. Or you can do like special effects, like you can stun someone, or you can like hit a specific area or whatever. I'm trying to think of your special abilities. I actually printed off your character sheet tonight just to get it. So I think most of the special abilities should ring familiar because they were built to try and emulate his Gorgosh's actual abilities.
Yeah, so he's got like an observation ability. An ability to unlock tough skin. For some reason there's an echo.
Yeah, lunge. Yowzers.
That make it less echoey.
I'm not hearing an echo.
Okay, good. Then I got Fury, so you just can get angry and do a little bit more damage. Hammer Strike is sort of a two-handed attack that does more damage again by taking a penalty.
Yeah.
Roll, and then I can lunge, which makes the attack one step harder, but it does quite a bit more damage.
Yeah.
Terrifying Presence is like a fear attack.
Yeah, it's going to be in short range. As long as you do nothing but speak, the target is paralyzed with fear, it runs away, or takes some other action appropriate to the circumstances.
Okay, and then Trollkin Recovery again, which is a toughness thing.
Yep.
And Whirlwind Attack, which lets me attack a bunch of foes sort of around me. Two foes with one blow. So there you go. A rundown. And I also have the Ogren Battle Cannon.
Yes. Which is a pretty badass gun. Now, you may also remember that the way the what do you call it? The way that the rules work. Is that what it wants? No. Sorry, I should have. I sort of spent today putting this. I'm not going to worry about trying to find a picture. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, what were we talking about?
We were just going through my skills and stuff, and you were.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the. You may remember that also. So you're going to roll everything effectively. So when you attack something or when you try and influence something, you're making the roll to influence it. And when something is trying to influence you or trying to attack you, you are rolling to resist it.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
It puts everything in your hands. So, okay. So you wake up and so you're now sort of on your feet. You've got all the gear that you've got listed there. Plus, would you kindly roll? Let me see here. Oh, wait.
Is this mostly a D20 game?
D20, and then it's also going to be percentile, and I think that's it. Percentile is very, you're going to need it once, and then a D6 you'll need, but again, that almost everything is D20. There's just a couple things that are the percentile ones.
Okay.
Okay, so it appears that there are two other things. First off, would you roll a D6 twice for me, please?
All right.
So as you sort of get your feet to have this creepy little kid take you to see a dead body.
There's a 1 and a 2.
A 1 and a 2, okay?
Yeah.
All right, now would you roll a percentile dice for me, please?
Yep. Could change this. There, you can get a sneak peek of my newly redesigned board.
Nice.
28.
28, okay. And would you roll one more time, please? Percentile.
51. I'm always in a different place in my house recently every time we play.
Are they still working on your basement?
No, I'm sitting in the basement now, that's why.
Oh, okay.
It's all fixed.
Nice. And would you also kindly roll a, one sec here. Roll a D20.
Yep. 17.
17. Okay, and then I think it's a percentile again, please.
53.
53, sweet. Ooh, that is awesome. Okay, so there are, as you sort of stagger to your feet, you look down and in amongst the kelp and coral and shit that's around you. That's really only around your immediate area. There are 3 other things sitting there. The most unusual first is, let's see here. Oop. Oh, I think it's in the base book. One sec. I didn't get a chance to use these in our last Cypher session, so I'm going to give you, just so you get a peer behind the screen, Jeff, there are artifacts and there are ciphers. And artifacts are kind of like magic items in D&D, where they're lasting things, and ciphers are weird usually one-shot kind of items that are just, you use them and then they're gone, but they give you really unusual abilities.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So it's I thought we'd take advantage of that because it's supposed to be something quite interesting. It's supposed to be like add a lot to the play. See if find where the fuck are artifacts in here. Artifacts. Oh, your thing sucks. Fucking. Here we go. What they've done is they've separated all the artifacts in the core book into the different relevant. So I'm looking in the strange book, and it's into the different like worlds, recursions they call them. So trying to find it means I got to flip through a bunch of different things, and the glossary is only 1 page long, so it's not like they can list all the things there. So all the things I'm looking for. Okay, no.
So you got to scan around.
Yeah, so kind of poke around to find where this freaking thing is. But it's appropriately thematic for tonight's session, so I want to find the damn thing. So where are you? This is where a PDF may be better because you can do a Control F search.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, now that I'm back downstairs, you're back to being on the big screen, Kev.
Yay! Look at that. I feel like I need to bring my A game now.
Yeah.
I will do my best. Oh shit! Yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna tell you is that I stumbled on today the first episode of season 3 of our Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a doozy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like I know. I'm like, well, we'll play Conan for a while, and then when I get back, get my juices recharged on Star Wars again, then we'll go back. But I'm really excited about this idea, and I think it might lead the campaign in a slightly different direction for a bit, but I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So we may see the crew of the Arch and Shadow again sooner than we expected.
Yeah, that's good. I love our Star Wars game. I have no problem playing that.
Awesome.
As much as,
to be honest, everyone does. Like, I mean, it's such a good group that we've got together, and such a good, everyone gels so well. So I think the like little bit of time away from it was good to let me just get the creative juices flowing. And if I can hammer out, and this one ties back into an idea that I really wanted to use as a war story session. So I think it'll be very cool. But anyway, okay. So what you see is there's what looks like a. Would you roll 1d6 for me, please?
Yep. 3 this time.
Okay. So what you see there is there's it looks like a detached or severed tentacle from some kind of octopoid creature, a cephalopod, I guess.
Yeah.
And it looks like on the end, there is, my dinner's ready. On the end, there is it's not, if you sort of poke it, it's not dried out. It's covered in dust right now because it was all wet and whatnot. But in the end, there is it's not like a sliced or incision or whatnot. It appears to be like a bunch of very, very minuscule kind of tendrils that are sort of wiggling in the air. And as you kick it, they kind of like, you see them. It's like a whole carpet of grass being moved by the wind. And that this is a graft. You can graft onto your body, and you have a vague memory of having this on your body.
Maybe it was knocked off.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what this is that it can be effectively used like a whip, which is a light weapon. Light weapons do 1 point of damage, but they get +1 to the modifier, or +1 or -1 difficulty to hit. So they're more accurate. They just don't hit as hard. It can also
wait, is this an artifact?
This is an artifact. Yes, it's a tendril graft.
Tendril graft.
Okay. You also see. Let's see.
So it's a light weapon whip.
Yeah, so it can be used as that, or it can be used as a prehensile tail, depending on where you put it. Effectively, it can hold. It can effectively give you an extra appendage.
Right. Yeah, where would Gorgosh stick it?
Okay.
How long is it roughly, Kev?
It's probably about 6 feet long.
Oh, okay, so it's fairly long.
Yeah. Just bear with me a moment. I'll grab my dinner and say.
Yeah. Take care of it.
Oh yes. All right, so that is the first thing that.
Okay, so Gorgosh picks it up.
Yep.
And he sticks it onto his shoulder area.
Yep.
And it coils all the way up around his arm, and the tip of it just sits on the back of his hand.
That is awesome. The boy kind of looks at you, and his nose wrinkles, and he says, "Well, what kind of snake is that, sir?"
That's my tendril graft. No, you don't want to mess with that.
Gordon, that is a weird looking snake. You must be.
It is a weird snake.
Okay.
Is he human?
Sorry?
Is he human, this boy?
He's human, yes. And he's actually.
Am I actually a trollkin?
You look down and no. Your flesh looks like horribly soft and pink. Your hands are hideously small. Your forearms are tiny.
I feel my face.
Oh my God! It's this disgustingly small chin, and what the hell is this? Is this a no?
He's like, oh, no wonder you think I'm ugly, kid. I'm one of you.
He says, "Sir, if I looked like you, my mom would hit me twice." So the second thing you find is, and bear with me a second. I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly.
So this one will go under the ciphers area?
Yes, this will go into the ciphers area. What you find is it's like a conch looking thing. And you don't remember where this came from, or how this came into your possession, but you know that what you can do with it is you can blow into this thing, and it will shatter. But then allies within long distance restore 3 points to a pool of their choice, and the difficulty of their first attack after hearing the roar is decreased by 1 step. This is a inspiring battle cry. So you can call it like an inspiring conch or something like that.
Wait, you replenish your whole pool?
No, you restore 3 points to 1 pool of your choice.
Oh.
It says allies, but I'll say you and your allies.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Replenishing conch. Or what'd you call it?
It was inspiring conch.
Oh, inspiring.
Yeah. And then the final thing you find is, where is it here? Haha, it's cool. There's this weird crystalline vial that has a stopper on top. And inside it, you look and you think it's at first it's liquid, and you sort of move it, and it moves with this like weird gossamer kind of like diaphanous thing, looking sort of like, wet spider silk or sticky fog or something.
Yeah.
And you know what this is if you quaff this, you can fly a short distance each round for 1 hour. You'll be surrounded by swirling winds, and you can use them to attack select creatures in within an immediate range, blowing them to short range and rendering them prone as an action.
Wow, this is cool.
Yeah, it's elemental blood. Now those 2 ciphers, once you use them, they're kind of spent.
Are they the other things, are they just level 1s?
But for these ones, the level doesn't really matter because it doesn't play into the it doesn't play into what the effects.
Okay, what about the depletion on the artifact? Does that matter?
Yes. The depletion on the artifact. Yes, it does matter. Hold on. Oh, I gotta find it again. Oh, look at you knowing the rules better than me.
Well, it's on the sheet.
No, no.
I don't know any of the rules. This wonderful character sheet you've given me is quite knowledgeable.
Yeah, this is it's the benefit of standing on the shoulders of giants. Someone else has done all the hard work on it. The tendograph does not deplete.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the young kid, watches you pick up these weird things. He says, "Well, mister, you want to see that body or not?"
Darn tootin', kid.
So, go. And he starts, trotting his way along. This kid's maybe like 8, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older. He starts, stomping along. Doesn't give us, once he starts walking, doesn't really spare a look back. He just assumes you're going to follow him.
Okay, and, sure, I'm following.
So you're walking along, and he leads you back down this, back up from where you guys are, up onto that, what passes for sort of the road there. Good God, is it hot out too? Oh, you are looking around trying to situate yourself and get some sense, some bearing. You get a vague recollection of of meeting. What do you remember? What does Gorgosh remember about that last session? What happened and what he saw and what he experienced?
Yeah, he met up with a whole bunch of weird characters. They saved the universe from some kind of weird threat. I don't remember what they were. Were they pirates?
I think it's appropriate because Gorgosh's memory is a little, whatever has happened to him before this has left
Can't remember.
Yeah, a little addled.
He definitely remembers meeting some very strange individuals.
Oh. So that's what, yeah, there was an airship that you were on.
Yeah, he definitely remembers the airship.
Yeah, at one point. And you did meet a bunch of, you remember Brother Declan was there. But yeah, there was a bunch of other weird characters like a guy named Nicholas Enns and an airship pirate named Nicholas Blackwell. And I'm trying to think who else was in that session. Some other
Was Vendry there?
Vendry was there briefly, I think. Oh no, I don't think that he met Vendry. Because I don't think Cork was at the session.
Did James come?
No, James was out. Was Gorgosh in the? Do you remember the session where you guys were like racing along in that van? You did that infiltration in that one place. Was Gorgosh there? I know that Vendry and Pash and whatnot were in that session, but I can't remember if Gorgosh was.
Oh, yeah, maybe he was.
Is that one? Remember, there was like a warehouse where there was a server in the basement.
Yeah, there was like a computer program thing, or like we were on a mission to destroy a computer.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I was there.
Mm. Then yes, you did meet Vendry and Pash and all those weirdos. Excuse me. Ooh. Buffalo chicken. Okay. So you pick up your big battle cannon. Your battle cannon looks a little more, actually, it effectively looks the same as it did in Western Imoren. In the World of the Iron Kingdoms.
Right, okay.
It sort of looked different in the different places, recursions that you've traveled to. In this particular recursion, wherever you are, it looks like, it looks normal. But looking around, the closest you can think is maybe this is for the far southeast of Western Imoren, near the Protectorate of Menoth. But the Menothans are generally much more dark-skinned and swarthy, and it's just where you suspect you're not home just yet.
Right. Something's gone wrong. Didn't Coulson or whatever say he was going to send us home after that?
I think that was the implied thing, yeah. And you don't recall what happened either. You know that you were on that mission, and you arrived at some giant. Actually, if you want to take a look on the screen there, oops, what did I do? Oh, fuck it up. What's on the screen there?
Yeah,
is you have vague recollections of being very, very cold, and of the steam of the sky ship landing near this giant frozen ruin. You don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And you don't remember what happened in there, but you're fairly confident you went in. But you don't know what the hell is going on. So, so as this kid leads you along, you walk down the road a little bit, and then he steps off on the far side, and your senses are quite keen, so you can hear the buzzing of flies. but well before you ever really come upon this. And you probably, this giant human nose. You certainly, these big nostrils are just drinking in the aroma of rot and death. Yeah. Let me make sure. I got it. Okay.
Well, so what kid, my nose is telling me you're right about the dead body.
He says, yeah. Well, it's like a bobcat or something kind of got to him. Mountain lion, maybe. And she, as you walk over, the kid sort of, pokes it with a stick. He pokes over in a direction, and you can see that there is, in fact, the remains of a human, and it looks pretty torn up. The whole sort of like section from here.
I smack the stick out of his hands. I say, "Kid, don't be poking at that."
Hey, well, I'm trying to be disrespectful. I think I know that feller.
Oh yeah, what do you think his name is?
I think that it's Sheriff Dunsworth.
The sheriff.
Take a look. That's his star there, and he points, and you can see, sure enough, with some, about a third of it covered in gore, there appears to be like a star-shaped symbol surrounded by a disc that's been pinned to this guy's lapel, or his lapel. This the clothes that he's wearing.
Actually, I point down. I say, "Actually, kid, pass me that stick." And I point down at it.
Yeah, and so your stick.
I'll use the stick to sort of poke around and see, if he's got any pockets or anything in him, or any more evidence I can see.
Sure. Yeah. So it sounds like you maybe. Well, would you like to make a perception? I think it's only a perception. To be honest, I think this is a perception 2, and you're specialized in it anyway. So it's effectively a 0. So yeah, like you just spend some time looking around. Excuse me. What you find is just there's a little bit of coin in his pocket. You're not familiar with the currency. There's a firearm of some kind. Looks pretty advanced at his waist. There's a belt of bullets as well too, and not far away there's a little a rifle in the ground as well.
Are we just sort of in the wilderness here?
Yeah, like you're sort of as far as you can tell, you're in the middle.
I take the belt and guns off him, and I say to the kid, "This isn't safe to leave this lying around."
So as you're sort of doing that, you hear this sound of a weapon being cocked behind you, and you look, and the kid kind of spins around, and there's a really scruffy looking man with probably about a week's worth of or a week and a half's week of growth on his face. He's got matted hair that suggests he's been out in the woods for quite a while. He's wearing the sort of chaps of a cowboy. He's got dungarees on, and in his hand is a pretty vicious looking shotgun or scattergun of some kind.
I put my hands up, and I slowly start to get up and turn around and say, "Whoa there, stranger."
You do notice as well that this guy looks like he's been there's a pretty nasty cut across. It's congealed, so it's not still fresh, but it's gooey across his face and then down into his neck and across part of his shirt. He's tied some kind of like kerchief around it to try to staunch the bleeding. And he says,
"Is this a friend of yours?"
He says, "You, where are you from?" And the kid says, "Stony Brook." He says, "I'm not talking to you, kid. You shut up. You shut up, kid." And he points at you. "Where are you from?"
"I'm from the north."
"No, you ain't from here. I know it. It was you, wasn't it?"
"I'm not a local, no. But it doesn't mean I'm doing something bad to this man."
They told us it'd be easy. Just an easy, simple job. Well, you're gonna You're going to pay for that. Them was my brother.
Yeah, I didn't do this to your brother.
That ain't my brother. That's that no good sheriff. He spits. I'm glad he's dead. Now you're going to join him. And he kind of raises his gun up. You know exactly what's going to be happening here. Bear with me a sec here.
Okay.
So the way initiative works is I believe you just make a speed check. Actually, let me check. If you pass, then you get to go before the bad guys. If you fail, then they go first. Is basically the way it works.
Okay.
So
we do a speed comparison?
Let's see here. Yes, okay, so you're going to try and roll higher than this guy's target number. If you do, then you go first. If you don't, then he goes first. So give me a sec here. I'm just going to find the stats for this dude.
Now, under my skills speed section, I do have initiative.
You do. Oh, yes.
I don't know if that means I'm better at this.
It does, yeah. Well, you got you as untrained.
Oh, that's what that means. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and make a just click on that. Click on the dice next to that. We'll see how you do.
Oh, okay. Effort to roll.
You can choose to put effort into this if you'd like.
Oh, okay. So this is speed that would affect this?
Mm-hmm.
So the first +1 would cost me 3 points, and because I have an edge of 1, it would only cost me 2.
Precisely. Yep.
Okay, so I'll put 1 effort into it.
Okay.
So that cost me 2 speed out of my pool?
It does, yes.
Okay, so I roll that. Initiative roll 10.
Yeah, it was 7 plus 3.
So if I hit the supply cost, does it auto pull the?
Yeah, it adds because you supplied the effort. It automatically adds it to the roll because you roll 7 and then sorry. Fortunately, you did roll more than him than his level though, so you do get to go first. So what would you like to do? You guys are about maybe like 10 feet apart right now. He's sort of coming right up on you. His black. He's shaking and he's definitely gonna try and take a shot at you.
Is there a spot where, current value of speed is like what's come out of my pool?
Yeah.
Okay. So this should be 8 now. Okay, I'm going to use my my tendril graft. It's going to quickly uncoil from my arm, and it's going to whip at his weapon, and I'm going to use Gimme That to try and disarm him.
Nice. Okay. So
I make an attack against a foe wielding a weapon, inflicting damage and disarming him so his weapon is now 10 feet away on the ground or in your hands, your choice. The difficulty of the attack is increased by 1 step.
Okay, so it'll cost you 2 speed, and that's not reduced by your edge because you've already reduced edge this round.
Okay.
And go ahead and make your attack roll. So he is difficulty is going to be 3 right now. Excuse me. You're trained in unarmed attacks. Excuse me.
Oh, I see it there. Okay. Yeah.
Now I'll count this as an unarmed attack.
I think you said that the tendril thing did 1 less. It only did 1 damage.
Yeah, the damage isn't the same there. It would be 1, and then
it does 1 improvement on the attack type, right?
Yes. So the trained reduces that 3 to a 2. The light weapon reduces that 2 to a 1. You need a 3 or higher to hit this thing. Hit this guy.
Okay. Wait. So, do I just roll unarmed attack or what?
Yeah,
or
go ahead and roll that, and then it'll ask you about effort if you want to put any in.
Right. Oh, difficulty is 1.
Yeah.
Effort, I don't need any. Effort to damage, none, because I'm not trying to hurt him.
Nice.
Okay, so success.
And you whip it and yank it away. It's so fast that it just whips out from your hand and rips it away. You don't even have to pull
Kevin actually puts the shotgun into my hand.
Oh, nice. So,
yeah, because it's one of the options. So he
cool.
Shoots out, grabs the shotgun out of his hands, and now I'm holding the shotgun.
Awesome. Yeah, he's kind of. What? You're one of them, aren't you? You're one of them that killed my friends.
One of them what?
He turns and he starts running off into the behind, away from you. What do you want to do?
Do I want to chase this guy? I look at the kid, I say, do you have any idea what this guy's talking about?
He looks up, he says, that's one of them, that's got to be one of them bandits. They've been preying on us. Paul said it's the rail baron sending them.
They got a hideout or something around here?
No, that's what the sheriff said. He had whooped them, sent them all off. Then worse things started happening.
Well, does the sheriff have a deputy or a partner?
Deputy went with him. He kind of looks around. Maybe he's around here somewhere too.
Okay, I'll poke around. You said there was a rifle or something on the ground nearby.
Yep.
So I'll look around for the deputy.
Okay. You do actually no. You don't find the deputy, but you do find another scene of where there's a fair amount of dried blood. These big old human nostrils of yours will reveal that pretty easily.
So I gather up the weapons.
Yeah.
I actually take the badge, the sheriff's badge, off the sheriff.
Yep.
And I look down at the kid, and I say, I guess there's a new sheriff in town. And I pin the badge on myself. And I say, you can call me Sheriff Thunderfist, kid.
Sheriff Gordon Thunderfist.
Good enough.
All right, then. He looks up. Well, suppose we best be getting back to town then.
I think we got to notify some people that the sheriff here has been killed.
He says, I reckon that's right. He looks down. Should we leave him here for the buzzards or take him back?
Well, I don't think we'll drag the body back. It's getting too close to dark. We'll come back in the morning with some more men.
He kind of looks at you funny. Dark? How long you been out here? It's morning still. Shoot, it's not even half day. At that, you're thinking it's going to get hotter.
Oh, gosh. Well, I suppose we could bring him back then. You got a wagon or a wheelbarrow, kid?
Nope. Pa's got one. We could maybe use that.
Is it close by?
Oh, it's about a 20-minute walk. Not far.
All right, let's go talk to your pa about borrowing that wheelbarrow.
All right. He starts walking along. He starts chatting a little bit with you, and he just takes it like this is the way that sheriffs. He's too young to really know how sheriffs become sheriffs, so
right.
This is the way it works. So you make your way back to along. You find out this kid's name is Zeke.
Okay.
His ma calls him Ezekiel, but his name's Zeke. Sorry, this is where Bush League in my what do you call it? Improv DMing. I didn't write down the name. I gave the town, and I didn't write down the name of the sheriff. Did you happen to remember what those were?
Did you tell me them already?
I told you that. Okay, then well, you know what? We're just going to make them up again.
You can call him whatever you want.
All right. Well, the sheriff, his name is. Sorry, what was that?
You could say I just don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either, and I don't remember the name of the town I gave either. So the I'm gonna say Shaftston
is the town.
Is the town, yeah. And the sheriff was let's give him a good Western name. I'm gonna say Sheriff Bartle. The now departed Sheriff Bartle. So you head down into you head along, and basically like the as you're making your way along, the canyons get a little bit more narrow, but it's mostly sort of following the same direct or rough direction. Do you want to pry or try and get any further info out of this kid?
Just his last name.
Yep. His last name is Cotter. Zeke Cotter. Cotter.
I just want to know what to call his dad when I get there.
Sure. Okay. So you make your way down along this sort of winding kind of way, and you come across, or you finally come upon after the last kind of turn, you come upon this town. The town itself is sort of built to have this fairly large thoroughfare that runs through most of the canyon, and then on either side there are what do you call it? There are buildings that are built, and the buildings, interestingly enough, are actually built up. They're sort of fairly high up on stilts, or on not on, or actually on, I guess, really large, thick wooden kind of posts. And there's a number of different buildings in here, but the ones that sort of stand out is there's a blacksmith. There is a tavern, or not tavern, like a hotel saloon kind of thing. And there are a number of storefronts as well too. There's a dentist in here. There's a telegraph, or rather something called the Pony Express. Yeah. As well. This, it looks similar to some of the places that from Western Immoran, but just not quite right. In particular, like, why is it all humans in here?
Right. I'm certainly not back home. Gorgosh is starting to clue into that.
So as you're walking along, there's you hear this. There's a bunch of people who are sort of milling about town, and then as soon as they notice you, they'll kind of stop what they're doing and give you kind of the stink eye. And then this continues on as you're going along. And Zeke says, what?
I was going to say, ask him if there's like a mayor of this town or something like that.
Yeah. That'd be Mr. Carruthers. He fancies himself the mayor, but not that many folks left around here. He owns the flower as well. And kind of gestures at the hotel. And the hotel's pretty fancy looking thing. It's got like a second balcony to it, and there's so there's a second floor, and there's a balcony that sort of juts out over the front porch. And he says, what do you call it? He says, yeah, it's just Mr. Carruthers there. He ain't going to be pleased that Sheriff Bartle's gone. That's for sure.
He got along with the sheriff?
Yeah, so Sheriff Bartle, he was fine, and then before he finishes, he's able to finish talking. You hear this woman's voice cry out, "Ezekiel Turner Cotter, get yourself over here! Get away from that man!" There's this woman running out, kind of down the boardwalk. Her skirt kind of, or her dress sort of hoisted up so she can run more easily. And there's a man sort of scampering along behind her, and as you're, what do you call it? Zeke kind of looks up at you and then looks back at her, and then he starts walking forward, like as if not, just as nonplussed as if he saw when he saw the dead body of the sheriff. And he's like, "Oh, Ma, I didn't do." And she's like, "Get away from him now!" And that at that point, there's sort of more people who are starting to cluster around, and there's a couple of what looked like I'm trying to think if there would be there at where you were living for quite a while in Lale, there were effectively kind of like cowboys, like people who would live on the range and sort of herd the cattle and so forth, and you can see that there are, because remember Ladry, there was those big stockyards there and whatever. You can see that there are what look like a couple cowboys, and they're all sort of like itching their hands to go on their pistols, and there's a bit of a circle sort of forming around you right now, or at least a crowd. And this woman comes running over and grabs Ezekiel or Zeke and pulls him in, and this man comes running out, and he's got a hammer in his hand, like a tool, not a war hammer. And "Who are you? What are you doing with our son?"
"I ain't doing nothing to your son."
Someone yells in the crowd, "He's got the sheriff's badge! There's blood on it!"
"Yeah, your boy here, Zeke, he led me to the body of your Sheriff Bartle."
Oh my God, Sheriff Bartle's dead. He's dead." And this is sort of muttering through the crowd right now. "Oh, he killed him. This man, he killed him. Look at him. He's a subhuman. He's got to be one of the railroad's men." And you get a sense that this crowd is really kind of not going your way.
Right. Okay, so I'll yell out. "All you shut your mouths! Where's Mayor Carruthers?"
What do you call it? You hear from the top of the balcony a fairly commanding kind of voice saying, "Now, hold on now. Who's saying my name? You want to speak to the mayor?" You look up, and there's this sort of dandified kind of gentleman. No, sorry, he's not dandified. He's looking pretty stoic, and he's carrying himself with a fairly, regal manner. And he's dressed in, despite the heat, he's still dressed in some dark colors and a full suit. And he's got the sort of like cravat around his neck as well. And he's looking down. He's got these big mutton chops, otherwise clean shaven, gray hair. He says, "Mayor Carruthers, you, what are you doing here? Why are you wearing Sheriff Bartle's badge?"
It's a good question. "My name is Gorgosh Thunderfist. And your man, Sheriff Bartle, he's dead up the way there, about 20 minutes from here. He tore up something awful by some kind of creature. Kid here said it might have been a mountain lion, but I ain't never seen no mountain lion."
You hear something from the crowd. There's a voice that yells out, "The devil!" And the crowd kind of gasps. And you see this man dressed in dark clothes with a long kind of frock coat behind him, who lifts up this book. He says, I told you, and you all scoffed at me. I told you, the devil's walking these hills now. Devil's falling upon us." And the mayor says, "That is quite enough of that, Father. We don't need you riling up these folks any more than they've got riled up now. You, Mr. Thunderfist, why don't you come on into the flower and we'll have a chat."
I think it's best that we do speak in private, good sir.
So he looks down. Y'all just go on with your day. Nothing more to see here. I'll be taking care of this. Things will be just fine. He turns in and walks in, and you what do you call it? What do you do? He walks inside on the balcony, so he seems to be going into the inside of the Flower hotel and saloon.
Yeah, I'll head in there.
Okay. So,
right when I get in there, is he like at the bar or at a table?
When you get inside, there is a there's a bunch of tables that are set out here, big circular things. There's like a poker table off in one corner. There's a piano at the. I'm trying to think if Iron Kingdoms has pianos. I honestly don't know. I imagine they probably do. So you recognize that. And there's a man who's kind of sitting at that and reading a paper.
Yeah.
Or a broadsheet paper. And there's a set of stairs that leads upstairs, and you can see that there's that man who was on the balcony sort of making his way along, that thing along the balcony and then down. As you head in, there's actually a small group of people who are following you, including Zeke's father and one or two other gentlemen as well too. They seem to be dressed a little better than the what do you call it?
Yeah.
Better than the cowboys that you saw before too. So you're guessing they may be, luminaries in town. Now, I'd like you to make a. I think it's a difficulty 5 or difficulty 6 perception check for me, please. So 6 is with your perception. You're specialized in it, which means that's down to a 4. And
okay.
Yeah. So it's down to a 4 right now.
I'll roll it against the 4. I won't spend any points for now.
Sure, so that's a 12 or higher you need.
Okay, so difficulty 6. No effort. Okay, so I rolled a 9.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that seemed to do everything. Okay. So I didn't notice it.
So make your way in, and the mayor makes his way down the stairs. He says, "Now, Thunderfist, what kind of name is that anyway? You got Navajo blood in you?"
Well, not unless Trollkin is a tribe you've ever heard of.
Trollkin. Can't say they from out west or out east or what? Can't say as I heard of that tribe. You don't look like no Injun.
No. From what I reckon, I'm one of you.
Now, sir, that is mighty bold of you to say, but we Carruthers are old stock, going back a long time in this country, particularly in this region. Now, he turns to the group of men that sort of walked in. He says, "Gentlemen, so do I have business with you?" And then one of the men says, "Not Zeke's father." One of the other men says, "You're damn right you do. Now Bartle's dead. You see what your obstinance has done? This caused us, not only we got bandits preying on people, now Sheriff Bartle's dead. What are we going to do? We can't sell now. Railroad won't give us the money. Well, it's half the word. We should have sold before. We were fools to listen to you. And he raises his hand and said, "Gentlemen, we need to know the full particulars of this situation before we make any rash decisions." And the guy responds again, "Hell with that. You're just being obstinate. You want, it's your greed. Greed's going to get us all killed. We're going to leave here dead or penniless." He says, "Gentlemen, that is quite enough. Let's address this. So let me have a conversation with Mr. Thunderfist here, and we'll see what the situation is." And another of the gentleman says, "You won't be having a conversation alone, Mr. Mayor. We're coming in with you too." And sort of surveys the.
Bar in here? Like a big bar?
Yeah, there's a bar right behind you.
Okay, I turn around to the bar and I order a drink from the barkeep.
Okay, I'm sort of picturing that you order something that the barkeep kind of looks at you like, "What?" The mayor sort of.
I try and order something else. He still gives me another confused look. And I said, "Just give me something wet."
He says, "All right." And the guy kind of looks at the mayor, and the mayor just says, "I'll just give him some whiskey." And he gives you something called whiskey, and you take it, and it's very much like the booze you've had in the Iron Kingdom. So,
okay. I take the shot. I unpin the sheriff's badge. I set it down on the bar. I take the sheriff's guns and his belt and stuff, set it on the bar beside there. Put the rifle there. I take his pocket money that I've had. I put it with all that stuff. And I say, "This here stuff all must belong to you, gentlemen, as it was the sheriff's property. And I hear you bickering about his paying him or doing a job for you, so here's all your stuff back."
Well, and then the sheriff or the mayor sort of tries to jump in on this. He says, "Well, you see, there's a fine, decent fella. We are not, so now we need to determine exactly what's going on here, and then we will make a stratagem to deal with the remaining contingencies." And one of the other men says, "Well, the hell with that, Sheriff. The hell with that, Mayor. So if they've taken to killing us now, what do they say? So they were hassling us before. Now they're taking to killing us. No one's going to come through here. We got nothing." And he sort of like holds his hand and says, "Let's just hear what Mr. Thunderfist has to say." So he gestures you over to a table in the corner, and
I signal the bartender for another whiskey before I walk over.
Yeah, and the mayor sort of like in a huff, grabs the bottle from the barkeep, and then a bunch of glasses, and he brings the glasses over and sort of, with sort of a practiced gesture, lays them out in front of each of you guys, fills it all up, and then sits down. Plunks the bottle in the middle and sits down with you. And he says, "Now, okay, Mr. Thunderfist, why don't you regale us with your tale of what happened?"
Well, now, I don't remember much before waking up. Where'd you say I was? Kind of like on the shore of a lake or something?
No, like you were in the middle of a desert, but there was a bunch of water.
Oh, in the middle of the desert. Oh, okay. Yeah, so first thing I recall was waking up in the desert, and that boy Zeke Cotter, I believe he's your son, I point to his dad, was there poking me. Opened my eyes, darn confused, and Zeke asked me if I want to see a dead body.
"What are you doing, my boy?" says Mr. Cooper or Cotter.
"I did nothing to your boy." Meanwhile, he takes me, shows me the sheriff's body. I'm examining him, and some darn bandit or something came up behind me and pulled this here, and I pull out the shotgun weapon on me.
Are you making any effort to keep your voice down, or are you just talking at your normal,
just talking at my Gorgosh voice? Nothing secretive.
Okay.
He doesn't know if there's any conspiracy or anything here. And even if there was, he's not involved in it, so he wouldn't really care about their conspiracy.
Okay. Okay, so
I sort of described the man that pulled the gun on me, the wound, how he looked, how he said him and his brother were doing something and spat at the sheriff. And when I took this here weapon from him, he ran off.
The mayor is like stroking his chin as you're saying all this. He says, "Now, Cotter, that boy of yours, he's no liar, right?" And Cotter sort of seems a little taken aback. He says, "Hell no. My Zeke tells the truth. He's a good boy." He says, "All right, why don't you fetch him from his mammy and bring him back, and we'll see if what he recalls is similar to what Mr. Thunderfist says as well." At that point, you sort of realize that you haven't noticed up until now. There are two guys who are. One of them is standing near the bar, who's got his hand sort of rested against the bar nonchalantly, but you realize it's effectively right next to his pistol. And there's and once you notice him, you're like, shit, that's a bodyguard. You do a quick survey of the room, and you can see that there is another guy who's leaning on a rifle, sort of nonchalantly, but it looks like the kind of thing you could bring up into position quite quickly.
Right.
As if he's got a second guy keeping an eye on you.
Right.
You sort of curse yourself for letting yourself being led into this sort of trap so easily. No doubt because of the disorientation and whatever. Do you want to make a perception check to see if there's any like obvious exits or anything like that, or take more details from the room, or what?
I don't know how much danger I feel I'm in at this moment.
Okay.
They haven't taken my weapons.
Nope.
So I still have my battle cannon.
I think just sit down, you would have had to take it off.
Yeah, like it's still by me.
It's near you, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I won't create a scene. But I will take a strategic look around the place now that I notice that there is the two guys positioned.
Okay. Why don't you just make a roll, excuse me, as if you put 2 levels of effort. So we'll see how well you roll. That'll just add it'll add 3 to your result, I guess. No, it'll add 6 to your result, because what I'm doing is I'm adding in the specialty for perception.
Oh, okay. So just roll. So don't set a difficulty. Just say 0 to see what I roll, or what?
Yeah, and then if it gives you asks you about effort, add 2 levels of effort into that.
Okay. So I got a 13, so it would have been a 4.
Difficulty 4 steps. Wait, what did you roll? Sorry.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know if that's
Rolling 1d8.
because if you rolled a 13.
Specialized -2, effort -2, difficulty -4 steps.
I don't know why that worked out that way. That's weird. Let me see here. I honestly don't remember what the interface looks like here. Oh, here, difficulty none unknown. Effort to roll 2. The cost is correct because it would be 5.
Right. But it's saying, oh,
right.
So it would have been a 7.
Got it. Okay, so
So my roll would have been an 8.
Well, hold on. You know what? Maybe let me see something here.
Right?
Think
Yeah.
so. Look.
Yeah, because 8 would be -2 for the perception bonus.
Yeah.
And no. Oh, and -2 for trained is -4.
50.
So that, yeah, that's right. Okay,
Okay, so the roll itself beats the difficulty. So like the last one I rolled there, I didn't add the effort in. So -4 stuff. So effectively, yeah, that beats the difficulty 7. So what you rolled, it beats a difficulty 8, actually.
right.
Because the -4 steps means the roll itself beats difficulty 4, but your specialty and your effort, although we wouldn't have added in twice. I think what we could have done is just rolled against a difficulty 0, and then it would have told us what it beat.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
Then, right.
Okay. So all right. So what you notice, you're sitting there, you do a quick further survey of the room. Looks like there's some rooms in the back on one side, like past near where the piano is, and there are the stairs obviously leading up, and then across the way near sort of the poker tables, there appears to be a man who's dressed a little different from everyone here, a little more less ostentatiously, less flashy, who's wearing kind of like darkened spectacles. And a flat, thinner rimmed hat, who is has a drink that he's nursing in front of him, but he appears quite intent on listening to your conversation, but he's trying not to look like he's listening to your conversation.
Yep.
Like this guy is looks like he's probably, a human in his past, middle aged. He's got mostly gray hair with still flecks of dark color in it, kind of way more salt than pepper. And his hair sort of comes down. It's probably cut quite neatly underneath as well. But he's
not someone I recognize.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
So, yeah, Cotter goes and collects Zeke, brings him back. Zeke says what he knows, and Zeke repeats exactly what you said. Says the mayor says.
After he's done his story, I look at the mayor and I say, "Well, there you go, Mayor Carruthers. I would appreciate it if your men would take their hands off their guns now that you can see that I'm not here to threaten you or your friends."
He gets a kind of a wry smile on his face. It says, You appears to be more to you than meets the eye, Mr. Thunderfist. He makes a gesture to the two men. They take their hands off the weapons. They don't move. They take their hands off the weapons, at least.
Yeah, they're just not ready to draw.
Yeah.
I say, that is much better, and I take the bottle of whiskey off the middle of the table and pour myself another drink of it.
Nice. So he says, well, tell me, Mr. Thunderfist, what do you, what brings you to Shaston? If you're not part of them desperados that were bushwhacking folks moving through, what brings you here?
Have you ever heard of a man named Coulson?
Can't say that I have.
You seen any airships flying around here?
Airships? What do you mean, like them balloons that Europeans use?
Well, not really a balloon. How about the Queen's carriage? Have you heard of that?
Queen's carriage. What's that? Is that a brand of whiskey?
No, that's my establishment.
What town do you hearken from then?
What's the name of that town again?
It's Blackacre.
Oh yeah, Blackacre.
Blackacre. He looks around and he says, everyone kind of like shrugs. Says, "You must be from pretty far away, son." So
I'm gathering that as well.
So you don't know why you're here.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
And then you hear from the back of the bar, this voice cries out again, "The Lord! The Lord sent him!" And you look over and everyone's sort of like, oh, shrugs. It's that same guy who was walking around the book. "Sword to deliver us from the damnation, from the devil. What the devil's his town?" And he lowers the book and points it in your general direction. He came with them that came from elsewhere as well. Devils from the pits of hell, and brought him along. Will he be our Redeemer or our damnation? Only the Lord knows. Pray with me, sinners. And at that point, you can see this is probably not the first time that they've had to escort this gent out. And he sort of looks at one of the guys near the bar, and then the bodyguard sort of walks over, and as he gets close, he's like, "All right, Father, come on, it's time." And he's like, "You don't understand. There's more. They bedevil us. We need to be." And he's sort of like just jabbering away about something or other, and he's very unceremoniously escorted out of the through the saloon doors and back into the street. And you hear them also, you guys overhear them saying, "Excuse me, Father, you know you ain't allowed in here." And so once he's out, Mayor Carruthers looks back at you. He says, "Well then, Mr. Thunderfist, you don't seem to know where you're from. You don't know why you're here. What is your intention then?"
Well, I do know what I was doing. I came here to town, borrow a wheelbarrow here from Mr. Cotter. Zeke told me he had, so that we could go fetch Sheriff Bartle's body and bring it back to town for a proper burial.
Everyone seems kind of, taken aback that you're doing something so decent. And they say, excuse me, it's fucking chicken. Mayor Carruthers says, "Watch, that's mighty decent of you, but if you're intent on riding back out there, why don't you let us assist with that? It's the least we can do for Sheriff Bartle. He was a pillar of the community. In fact, I'll get along with you." Now,
I'll show you where he lies.
a couple of other guys say that they're going to come along as well. Now, they're happy to volunteer. And, they...
Do the bodyguard type characters come along?
They will, yeah. And Mr. Carruthers says, Mayor Carruthers says, "I'm guessing that since you don't have any idea why you're here, son, and I'm guessing you don't have any money, you probably don't have no horse neither. Is that right?"
I do know what horses are. Yeah.
You do, and you know that from what you know, horses hate Trollkin.
Right. Yeah, so I've never been on a horse.
No, never. It's
yeah. What would I ride? They ride buffalo or something, right?
They ride bison. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say to them. Never owned any horses. Ridden many bison, but never a horse.
You sure you ain't got no Navajo in you? Maybe Cree.
What Navajo are you keep talking about?
Yeah, these names mean nothing to you. Yeah. He says, he kind of shakes his head and says, "Why don't you just ride?" We can fix you with a riding horse
if it'll let me ride it.
I think also probably, I don't know, but I imagine you don't think think of someone who cats react poorly to all the time, right? That's a person who probably doesn't like cats.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking pests. I imagine that Trollkin don't really like horses all that much. They probably find them irritating, noisy.
Right, he's definitely gonna treat it like a, like a stray cat almost,
Yeah. Okay, so they do sort of set you up outside with a horse. Let me check on time. So we're coming up close to 8 o'clock right now. That's about our 2 hour mark. Do you want to go another half hour and then call?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So we started a little late because I was eating, but
yeah, no problem.
I'd like to get a little more road under us with this this thing. Except we're not. It's not going to be done in one. It'll be done in two, I guess. So yeah, you get out there and they set you up with a horse, and this horse is like that you start going up, and this horse starts whinnying and like stomping along and trying to keep its distance from you, and the cowpoke or the whatever it is that brought the thing out is like, whoa girl, whoa. This thing's, all the other horses are acting fairly a little skittish as long as you don't get too close to them, but as soon as you can get close to this thing, it's reacting the way you would expect the horse to react.
Right.
And then the Mayor Carruthers like, I thought you said that thing was broke. And he says, I didn't break it, sir. There's nothing wrong with this horse. Something wrong with him. It's setting him off.
I told you. You got any bison?
The mayor sort of shakes his head. He said, you just ride in the wagon with me. Just come on, boys. And he's brought out this real fancy-looking rifle. The two guards ride with you. And I think the other two gentlemen, the better dressed guys, are going to ride with you guys out as well.
I have ridden on wagons pulled by horses before quite a bit.
Totally. Yeah. That's how actually you guys traveled. You may recall from
like that big long journey that we took.
Yeah, from Lakeview all the way up to Blackacre. So as you're walking along, the mayor sort of gets into a bit of a chin wagging, and he's telling you about what's going on in Shafton. So what's happened is that Shafton is in a land that you're not super familiar with, but it's they're calling it Colorado. And he tells you that he's on they're in a canyon, and there's a railroad coming. Someone's building a railroad, and they want to build it through. The easiest path is through this canyon. Thing is that Mayor Shafton owns most of the land in there. He made his riches initially mining. It's just a little bit of stuff, but he proxied that into buying the land near there. And there's been a trail because of the pass. It's an easy way to get through. There's a reasonable amount of traffic going out west. So Shafton was actually a pretty, for a good number of years there, was a pretty successful town. It was a trail town, but there was that. And with the railroad coming, they wanted to buy it out. And the mayor said, thought that there was obviously there's a fair amount of value to his land, so he wanted to try and get the most out of him. And the railroad was way undercutting him and then trying to bully him and whatnot. So he basically told him to go fuck themselves. You get the sense as you're talking to him too that there is something else that's going on there. There's some other reason he thinks this land is so valuable, and he hasn't told you what it is.
Okay, so it's not just to sell to the railroad, from what I can gather.
It's not just the location. There's got to be something else that's going on there. But he's been basically what's happened since then is first the railroad started sending folks into town to try and cause trouble, but Sheriff Bartle took care of them. Then they, folks were finding that as they're passing through, they were getting bushwhacked by people. Sheriff Bartle took care of them as well too. This guy was a serious, lawman from out east, from near Kansas. This guy was, tough as old shoe leather. And what had happened the day before is they heard of another, there was a Pony Express that was due that didn't come in, or a Western Union, I think, that was due and just didn't come in. So Sheriff Bartle was out to look for that stuff, and he'd been gone about, it had only been gone about a day, so it wasn't terribly long on his ranging, but if he's been torn apart by this, it won't. There's been a couple last couple of days. There's ranchers near here who have reported something similar to some of their livestock, but he doesn't want panic to get out. If the rail company is pretty ruthless, and if they're going this far, it won't break the mayor's will. You get the sense of that, but I mean, that's sort of the feeling.
Right.
He also keeps talking about out east. These folks from out east.
So did he say? What does he say? That guy that pulled the gun on me? What he's from? They are bandits.
From the way you describe him, he's probably one of them. Was part of the bushwhackers. Though it was weird. You said he was hurt too.
Yes, he was quite injured. And he said something about his brother, like maybe his brother had been killed.
Did you see where he went?
I can show you which direction he ran off when we get to the sheriff's body.
Okay. So you ride out to the sheriff's body. They collect it, and the mayor says, "Well, so which direction was that these that bushwhacker came from?"
Well, I point in the general direction that this guy ran off to.
He hops off the wagon, down, and cocks his gun. Says, "All right then, and just let's go." Do you have your battle cannon with you?
Yeah, I would have brought it with me. I wouldn't leave it in a strange town.
Okay. Let's grab some water. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, when is your pool normally replenished, Kev? At the end of the session?
Oh, sorry, Kevin, just 1 sec. Okay, sorry about that. What did you say?
I was just asking when the pool's normally refreshed, like if it's at the end of the session or what?
Well, you can just spend a recovery. First recovery.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you just make a recovery roll, and then you go to your next one. Then you have to take 10 minutes to make the next. It's an action to do the first one, 10 minutes to do the second one, and an hour to do the next one. You can easily do 2 recovery rolls if you like.
Right. Okay, but I'm only down 4 points.
So you just do the first one, the one that takes an action.
Right.
So what you do is just click on the roll for recovery roll.
Yep.
Boom, 5.
5. So that would fill my speed back up.
It would, yes. And then you tick onto the 10 minutes is the next one.
All right, it's telling you, yeah, just so you remember.
Yeah, which one you got? Okay. Well, next 10 minutes. Yeah, that's super clever. Okay, yeah, you get a chance to catch your breath. You've got your battle cannon with you, and you're walking along with the mayor. Mayor Carruthers looks down at the gun and says, "Tell me, son, where'd you acquire that that kind of contraption?"
This here? This is an Ogren battle cannon. Have you never seen one before?
No, can't say that I have. It's mighty unusual construction.
Well, they're very common amongst Ogren.
Ogren, is that another Indian tribe?
Yeah, sure, that's another tribe.
I did not know those folks were that clever. Huh. And as you guys are chit-chatting along, you follow along for about maybe, because I mean, it is a canyon, so it's not really like this guy could have gone that far. He sort of went along, and then you follow up along the canyon trail. And what you come to is, I guess you sort of notice it first just because your perception's so good. You look up, and there's a bunch of birds, circling above this somewhere near like where you're walking, and then as you reach there, you walk out, and there are probably a group of about 10 men who are all butchered. They all, I mean, they're not the same, but you can tell that they're dressed in the same sort of like dirty, traveler's clothes that the guy who ambushed you was wearing. And Mayor Carruthers says, "Good Lord." He looks, he says, "Sheriff Bartle wouldn't have done this."
I examined the bodies a little closer.
Sure.
They're not pistol injuries. They're not bullet wounds.
Yeah, you would know that. That'll be I want to say level 3, I think. Difficulty. So I think it's only your perception would reduce that down to a 1. You got anything you can think of to reduce that further?
No, I think I'll just roll it.
Sure.
Yep. So see if that's tell you success even. Yeah, okay.
It beats difficulty 2. Yes. Oh, great. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like it's telling you the right success thing.
Right, got it. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Okay, so yes, that's there's not a single bullet wound on any of these. There's a lot of, it's actually a mix of looks like claw or bite marks on these things. There's also what looked like a couple puncture wounds that are not, they're too big for firearms, in the sense that if someone was hit with a firearm of that caliber, it would blow right through them. And you did it to 3. One of them on one of the bodies, you're looking at it, and you sort of pull the clothes off to get a good look at the actual wound. And it's weird, but the 3 puncture wounds are all straight in a row. You can draw a straight line between them.
Do they have their weapons in their hands?
On their there's maybe 1 or 2 there's maybe 1 or 2 that got their weapons out, but you get the sense that whatever was here was. Can
I check if they're like, I don't know. Are they? I'm assuming these guys have like 6 shooters.
Yeah, it's like pistols. There's pistols and a couple of rifles around there.
So I'm gonna check. Can I check if they got any shots off? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just gonna do like a shot count to see, like, assuming their pistols were fully loaded.
There's a handful of shots that are off. The other thing you notice that there is one body. Maybe there's 2. Oh, there's only 10. There's one body that actually has some pretty vicious looking burns on it. And I think with your experience, the only thing you can think of, there's two things. Some kind of like lightning stroke, like a discharge from some kind of Mechanica device, or some kind of sorcery.
Right. Well, I tell the guys, I look around and I say, this happened mighty quick. Some of these men didn't even get their weapons out, and others only took a couple shots. We're talking this whole crew here wiped out in the span of a few seconds.
Mayor Carruthers looks around, quite concerned clearly, and says, that is no mountain lion that did this then.
Do they have mountain lions in?
I think there probably are. Yeah, in
like the way the game's built, like normal animals are in it.
Yeah, I think that in our games there's probably like there's the equivalent of. I mean, they're maybe not like cougars or whatever, but like there's probably some kind of big cats somewhere. Right. Yeah, probably. You know, in Kador there's probably big cats because there's Siberian tigers, right? And Kador is sort of ersatz Russia. So yeah, I mean, like there, you know that there's big cats or game cats. Maybe there's some kind of desert cat as well.
I say if this was performed by wild animals, or this wasn't done by wild animals, at the very least, this was done by coordinated animals, possibly commanded by someone. Maybe a magic user or some kind of a sorcerer, as I see some serious burns on this guy here.
Okay, the American looks at you like perplexed, and he says, "What? Well, you think some kind of stage magician did this?"
No, man, sorcery, magic.
Oh, you mean like your medicine men? You really? He shakes his head. He says, I don't know what it is that did this, but it ain't no kind of evil spirit or shaman or Indian medicine man.
Well, let's just say in the part of the world where I come from, there are men, no different than you or me, who can summon storms and blizzards, bolts of lightning, or shots of fire from themselves using their power of their mind and spirit alone.
Well, see how he reacts. Why don't you make a I'm gonna get you to make a persuade check. Now I think that this is gonna be difficulty 5, only because he's probably about a 3 or a 4, but I think he's pretty obstinate. So yeah. That's why it's gonna be a 5. So your persuade will bring that down to a 4. And yeah, that's all I can think of in terms of your assets and stuff.
And you will, I will spend 3 effort on this because he is trying to convince this guy that he's not crazy, and he's getting a little annoyed at the communication differences and sort of the world differences between them. So.
Yeah, okay. So are you spending 3 efforts? You mean you're spending 7 from your intellect?
No, not just 1. Like 3.
Yeah.
3 from my tool to increase it by 1.
Okay, cool. So that brings it down to a 3, which means it'll be a 9 or higher you need.
Right. So it's challenging, and I'm spending 1 effort.
Mm-hmm.
Success.
Nice. Okay, so while this guy really, like, he thinks that he's a practical man, and he doesn't think that there are such nonsense, but the words of the preacher and what he's seeing before him, and you're persuading and convincing monologue just really sort of, well, If that's what we're dealing with, then what is it? How do your people combat something like this? Sheriff certainly wasn't equipped to properly handle it. You think?
Well, I'm certainly no sorcerer. And when I've run into them, it's taken the efforts of myself and all of my friends just to stay alive in their presence.
And where are your friends?
Beats me.
Yeah, where you come from, are them sorcerers at the beckon of rich men as well?
Some of them, yes.
And I wonder if the damn railroads, we won't break to them. Mr. Thunderfist, do you know anything about fighting these sorcerers?
I have definitely fought at least 2 very dangerous sorcerers before.
Well then, you got no money, and I got a sorcerer I need to deal with. So why don't we come to a compromise, and I will pay you handsomely. You rid me of this sorcerer.
Fair enough.
We'll offer you what help we can, but yeah, this needs to be done, and done quick. We in agreement?
We're in agreement.
So he extends his hand, and you shake his hand. Would you please make another perception check for me, please? I'm not going to tell you the difficulty, but just go ahead and make a difficulty against unknown, and we'll see if you... Wow. Okay.
6.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what you see is, as you're talking this, there's just a hint of a flash of light, which draws your attention up. And you see a sort of at the edge of the canyon, where it's sort of curved in to, or curves away from where you are, I suppose, to go back towards Shafton. You look up, and there appears to be someone who's using a spyglass of some kind, who's looking down on you.
Mm.
And I think with a roll that good, you can make out the sort of silhouette of a short-brimmed hat. With
right.
Yeah.
So I come over. I go over to the mayor, and I say, "Now, what? Back when we were in the flower there was a man in the saloon who had and I'd sort of describe him with his little hat, and I say, did you see that fella there?
I did. That's that greenhorn from out east. That's Mr. Hall. He said he was traveling on a research basis. He's from some university, some fancy university.
Well, I think he might be lying to you, because he is up there on that ridge. Don't look now. Spying down on us.
That bushwhacker. That snake. Well, you let my boys get a handle on him when we get back, and you think we could take him now, or we wait?
I think we lure him back to the flower, and we question him there.
Well, all right. You seem to have more experience. And it dawns on him. He's like, wait, you think he's that sorcerer?
It's possible, but I don't know. You can't tell a sorcerer from you or me just by looking at him.
Devious sorts.
Devious indeed.
So I think the ride back to Shafton is really not not terribly consequential. What's the plan that you guys come up with to deal with this with Mr. Hall when he gets back?
We get back to town,
And before we get off the wagon, we sort of take our time, unhitching the horses and whatnot. And Gorgosh sort of says real loudly, like, okay, I got a plan, but we better go inside for me to tell you about it, and sort of like say it loud enough that, maybe if he's eavesdropping like I saw him before, we can expect him to try and get inside to try and hear us. And I've informed Mayor Carruthers to sort of get his men to, seal off the saloon once they see him come in. And then we'll try and put our hands on him.
All right, then. So you sort of, like, as soon as he walks in the door, you're going to try and get your hands on him, yeah?
Right, yeah. Like, like one of the guys is waiting, slams the door shut and locks it behind him. And, we're sort of there to,
you mean
Gorgosh is there to sort of grab him.
Like in his actual room, not in the, because the saloon.
No, like as soon as he comes in, the saloon. Okay, well, as soon as he comes in the saloon, then maybe the one guy's just going to do the old, like, come around from behind the door and just be standing in the doorway with his rifle or whatever.
Okay.
The other guy will just be blocking the back way behind the bar. So, just one of those kind of scenes from a Western where
okay, so
all of a sudden you're trapped.
Okay. You mean something
like name was?
So whose name is?
Yeah, this guy?
Mr. Hall.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Hall.
Jefferson Hall. So what do you call it? What what do you guys do exactly as you said? And sort of everyone's where do you think you are? Remember, there is a big window that's looking out onto the street, which is sort of near where the poker table is, and then right next to there is a table where Mr. Hall was sitting while he was listening in on your conversation with the sort of leaders of the town.
I think Gorgosh is sitting at the table that Mr. Hall was sitting at earlier.
Okay.
And sort of when he comes in and they, seal off the place and, as soon as he looks around and he makes eye contact with Gorgosh, Gorgosh is going to wave him over to the table that he's sitting at.
Okay. Okay. So it goes off exactly like you say. Like the guy, he walks in, and then there's sort of like, as soon as he walks in, someone, one of Mayor Carruthers' goons kind of, cocks the rifle. He looks around. Guy's still wearing those kind of like, tinted glasses that he was wearing before. And he sort of stops and looks back, and he looks over across the room. He's surveying where everyone's sort of eyeing him. Carruthers is there with a gun. The other thug is there with a gun. He looks over at you. He doffs his cap, and
I beckon him over to the table.
he looks
and
around.
I kind of kick the other chair at the table with my foot, sort of slide it out for him.
That's awesome. Okay, so he, and you hear the, scratches across the wooden floor, and he walks over with, a great deal of determination, pulls the chair back, and then sits down, crosses his hands. He says, "Well, they may not know what you are, but I know what you are, monster."
Well, is that right, Mr. Hall?
It is.
I know. What might I be?
I don't know what you are, but I know you're not from here. You don't belong here. I recognize that these good folk don't recognize it, but just out of curiosity, for the sake of an old man's, to satisfy an old man's interest, what was your plan? You kill those bandits, you kill the sheriff, then lead them out there for what? A snack later? Is that what your kind does?
Do I look like I would eat a person?
He gives you this look like, are you fucking kidding me? Of course you look like someone who would eat a person. But he says all of that with a single cocked eyebrow.
Okay. And I'm like, well, and what are you doing here in Shaftston, Mr. Hall?
And he leans forward. He says, "Stopping things like you, monster."
I reach across the table and I take his glasses,
Yeah.
goggles off of his face so I can see his eyes.
He's got like gray blue eyes that are just ablaze with intensity.
Okay.
He's got that, that kind of like, rugged, old guy presence that like, what's his name? What's his name? The guy who played the dude in Big Lebowski. Not the dude. The guy who played the cowboy in Big Lebowski.
Oh.
The older guy?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what his name is offhand. I did a fucking picture of him for my mom.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I know exactly what his name is.
That's what he's sort of looking at you. You're getting a sense that he's obviously like he's maybe misunderstanding what you're here for and what you're about.
Right. You got something right, old man. I am not from here, and I am a monster of sorts, but I'm not the kind of monster that does that to men that you saw back there. I'm the kind of monster that's built to fight that kind of monster.
He looks at you and says, "Well, what?" Now, you claim to be a hunter of that kind of monster. Isn't that exactly what a monster would say? Try and save its own hideous skin? Now, why don't we do another persuade check? And again, I think this is probably a 6 because this guy, like, he's about a 4, and then he's pretty set in his predisposition that you're bad news.
Right. Okay. So persuade, and again, I'll spend the 3 points.
Okay. You know what I'll let you do too is if you want. If there's some kind of role-playing thing that you can think of to try and to dispel this guy's suspicion, I'll give you another free effort.
Oh, like something I could come up with. Yeah, because I mean, Gorgosh, normally he's very intimidating.
Yeah.
And intimidating someone does not help with convincing them that you're not a monster.
Yeah.
I think that he just says, if I was the monster who killed those bandits, and I had the good Mayor Carruthers and his men out there in that same killing spot, what do you think would have stopped me from killing him right then and there like I did to those other bandits?
Okay. Yeah, and I think that kind of practicality would speak to this dude. So you can get another, basically I'll start, the difficulty will be a 5 to start with, and then just add those other things into your dice roll.
Okay, so set it to 6. And 1 effort. Oh, was that right? Yeah.
Ooh.
That's not a great roll, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah, 8 will be difficulty 2, and then you've got your train.
Plus 2, 4. Yeah, I would have been a 4. I missed it by 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm trying to remember if there's what you can expend experience for. Experience is like a spendable commodity in this. Well, you're supposed to be using it.
Yeah. It's like.
It's supposed to be because I'm supposed to be giving them out much more freely. I just didn't want to waste time to pause to look it up, but this is worth checking here. Okay. Spending XP. You can use XP to re-roll any roll in the game, even one you didn't make.
Well, that's cool. Let's try it then.
Yeah.
Try that again. Persuade. So XP down to 3.
Okay. Badass. You also can gain short-term and medium-term benefits by spending 2.
So I actually should set this to a 5, right? Because you said yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so just do a 5. Nice, sweetie. Nice, sweetie.
Oh, and so I keep the 1 effort that I spent on.
Yep.
I just re-roll.
Yeah.
There we go. Did it.
Nice.
Plus 2 damage, it says.
You roll an 18 as well, which is okay. So he leans in close to you, and you say your spiel, and he sort of just leans back and says, "All right, then you're one of the good ones." I take it you don't know why you're here.
No.
But you're going to try and help these folks out.
That's my plan, and I'm looking for allies.
He narrows his eyes. He reaches across, grabs his glasses back from you, puts them back in his head, and leans back in. It's all right then. My name is Jefferson Hall. I am an agent for the Pinkertons. And what we do is when things slip through from elsewhere, we make sure that these folks don't come to no harm. Oh, he's not fucking Western. Well, I'm not sure why. That's one of the perils of me running a Western is that I get stuck in that accent and I'll do it for a day straight.
Oh, I know. And it's like as soon as you talk like that, Gorgosh starts talking.
I know.
Like
it's so fucking catchy. I used to, this is way long ago, but I had a job at a call center where we were calling people in the South. And like by the end of the day, I'd be talking like a Southerner all fucking day. Or like my crude imitation. And I'd get shit from it. They're like, don't repeat their accent back to you. That's you sound like a jerk. And I'm like, I cannot fucking help it. Like, how do you not? Insane.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so he says, well, then I was sent by the Pinkertons out here. I heard what we detected, that there was some kind of disturbance, and I assumed it was you. Seems something else came through with you. And Mr. Thunderfist, was it? Again, I'm doing that fucking accent. Mr. Thunderfist, was it?
Indeed it is.
I think you and I should have a tall drink and an honest conversation.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so that is where we will wrap up the first part of this session, which I think we're going to call the story Trollkin Gulch. So we'll do the second part of Trollkin Gulch maybe next Wednesday. Steve seems like his availability has been iffy the last little while, so we'll do next Wednesday to wrap up the story. Cool. So for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for the this sidetrack on the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you again soon.